I mean, if you want to explain to the audience, you're looking to make almost like a full feature-length film. Is that correct, in a way?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, it's a horror. It's also a drama. I mean, it combines a lot of elements from me that I like to watch in film, and just a lot of, personal stuff. Specifically, I would say the biggest inspiration comes from the Alien franchise. I did a very big deep dive into those, and I've now seen them over and over.
There's a viral clip right now of like Brad Pitt fighting Tom Cruise, and it looks fairly realistic.
Yeah, crazy.
There's ones of like Spider-Man and all sorts of stuff, and it looks crazy good. If you could recreate a film that already exists in your own way or your own vision, which film would that be?
I love this question.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Sonderverse show. Today is season 2, episode 4. We have our lovely guest, Tyler Edward. Welcome to the show, Tyler.
Thank you.
And today we are going to be talking about the filmmaking and maybe filmmaking industry. We're going to be talking about what you're doing with your project. And yeah, just really interested to hear about your story and where you're at today and where you want to go in the future. So, Tyler, if you are so happy to, can you give us an introduction about yourself, please?
For sure, yeah. So, I'm Tyler. I've been doing a lot of kind of filmmaking and just video and media for kind of as long as I can remember. I grew up in the cities, so I'm from Crystal, Minnesota, and I grew up in a private school, and that's where I did elementary and through all of high school. So pretty much preschool till I graduated high school was a private school, which was very, very nice for me growing up. A lot of it, I guess you consider being more sheltered. But I feel like through work and through other things, I was still able to kind of reach out and find my crowd and everything else while still being, kind of in that private school setting. And then kind of, graduating from high school, I wasn't quite sure where I wanted to go with myself. So I ended up just kind of going off to a college that I knew of and that a friend was going to, in Wisconsin, River Falls. And then I quickly discovered that it wasn't quite for me, because simultaneously my brother was going to Bethany Lutheran here in Mankato.
Yep.
And so I had really a strong urge to go there kind of halfway through my first semester at the other college. And I kind of called my brother up and said, "Hey, you're doing filmmaking. I think what the college is doing is great. So I'm going to come on over and get on that." So I've been doing that now for the past 4 years. This is my final semester. In fact, midterm is in about 2 weeks. So I'm just about wrapped up almost fully, which feels kind of crazy. But yeah, I've been making little skits, little videos for as long as I can remember. I'm a drummer. That's something a lot of people don't know about me. I like to drum as kind of a hobby, but I haven't been, into it as much lately, considering just how much work I've been doing alongside just different film projects. But I huge into rock music. I'm actually a little bummed. I used to have a bunch of posters up on that wall. Would have been a good backdrop to say about it. But yeah, that's kind of me in a nutshell. I just love making things creatively, graphic design, video work, whatever it is. I love being in the creative world.
Cool. Yeah, me too. So definitely kind of empathize with that. So give us a quick kind of background as well. As we know with the Sonderverse show, it's kind of guest to guest referrals. Just interested to know how you know Luke. You both seem like the creative types as well. I both at the same college. I call it university here in the UK. So just quickly, if you could give us an update on how that relationship came about, how you know each other. I don't know if he gave you any reasons on why he kind of referred you onto the show also.
So I met Luke my freshman year of college. He was just when I came there, I was definitely late to it because it was my second semester. So I didn't know as many people. I was kind of going in blind a little bit, other than just some of the, connections through my brother. But I kind of wiggled my way into this group of guys, and he was one of them. Um, and we've been in the same department together too. We share the same major of media arts. His leans more towards the motion graphics side of things, whereas mine leads more towards the filmmaking side of things. But yeah, so we've become pretty close friends, and then we actually were roommates too. So he's we're in this kind of old crappy house, but we're making it work.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's downstairs, I'm up here. So um but yeah, he's great. And he mentioned just that we're both very ambitious people, and like the work he's doing is just so cool. I mean,
Yeah.
he's a crazy like entrepreneur, like especially for his age. It's kind of insane how much work he's putting in, and the payoff that he's getting is really, really cool to see.
Yeah.
Um but yeah, we're both ambitious people, and I think that's kind of why he talked to me about potentially being on the podcast. Is he knew that I was working on this film, and he knew it was kind of above and beyond what, you know, a normal accomplishment for a kind of a student capstone would be. Um, so I think he's just also feels inspired to share that part
Yeah.
as well. But yeah,
Yeah. He kind of he mentioned that to me, that you were working on this project that was no small feat, really, in terms of what you were
yeah,
trying to achieve. And I appreciate you've shown me a very quick kind of trailer to it. And hopefully in the edit and the magic, we'll kind of put some of that in here too, or send a link to it, whatever. But yeah, really interested to dig into that as we go through this conversation. So you're doing the same course as Luke, is that? But
yeah,
you said department, same course, all that kind of thing. It seems very
yeah,
different what you're both doing though. He's doing motion
right,
graphics. I guess he's still creating visual content, but
yeah.
you are. I mean, if you want to explain to the audience, you're looking to make almost like a full feature length film. Is that correct in a way?
Yeah, correct. Yep. So I mean, the difference in ours is that his is much more focused on kind of taking a step outside of like the camera stuff. I mean, he's great at making, YouTube videos and all that stuff too. I mean, he
Yeah.
knows how to work a camera. He knows all the technicalities behind it. His just preference goes more towards like the editing part, just what you can do on the computer with the programs you're given. Whether it's Unreal Engine or things like that. He really enjoys kind of creating things in that 3D space and through After Effects and whatever else. Um, but yeah, and then my kind of path in the major is more of that filmmaking stuff, where it is, working on a set where you have a camera and you have actors and a crew and things like that. Um, and so what I'm doing is a feature film, which is
Hmm.
my first time um working on one as kind of like the lead, as the director. So I'm writing, directing, and editing it. Um, my brother, like I was talking about, he's also a filmmaker, so I've worked with him, and he's been doing feature films now for a while as well. Um, he kind of has this ongoing series that he's doing. So I've worked on those as kind of, crew or camera or actors or stuff like that. But this is the first time for me I'm really taking that lead spot,
Yeah.
which is really fun because in my now very short career working kind of in this film area, I've done 3 written and directed short films, and those have kind of been building blocks to get me towards a bigger thing.
Yeah.
I think with each of those short films, the scale just gets a bit bigger and bigger and bigger. We started out kind of doing a smaller thriller noir kind of film, and it was like a 5-minute thing. And then the next one I did was a drama comedy sci-fi, and it's like takes
Hmm.
place in 15 minutes, and it's like these 2 dudes who have a bad trip and they think they're seeing aliens and stuff like that.
Love it.
And then the third one I did was called Mina, and that's the biggest one I've done, and it's an adaptation of Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Hmm.
Um, so that one was a really big one for me to conquer because it takes place in the 1800s, and it's a big period piece. So figuring out that was kind of a huge step for me. And then it ended up being 25 minutes, got into film festivals, won a couple of awards. And so those were all kind of building blocks to get me to this point where now it's technically it's my senior capstone. I mean, if I'm being honest, it would happen regardless of that. I've had a passion for this for well over a year now. So even if it weren't able to wiggle its way into being my capstone, the film would have existed regardless. But yeah, so it's a full-length feature film. I think it's going to clock in around an hour to 30, hour 45, kind of in that range. Um, yeah, it's a horror. It's also a drama. I mean, it combines a lot of elements from me that I like to watch in film, and just a lot of, personal stuff. Um, but all in this kind of swirl of a fun genre blend.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah.
It was yeah. So the trailer.
Is anyone out there listening? We are at 1789 Pine Road. We are in severe danger. Please send help. Please. Please.
Really interesting to watch, even in that kind of 1 minute 16, I think it was that
Yeah.
you're showing me. And I know you said you've still got more to do with it, but I can see similarities in terms of like the genre, in terms of like again, I was trying to figure it out even in the trailer. I saw a person with the camcorder in a way, and I was like, is this going to be more like one of them POV kind of handheldy horrors, or is there going to be multiple elements to it? So obviously there's still a bit of suspense in terms of like,
Yeah.
or anticipation of like what kind of films it's going to be. So it's really cool there. Like if you're doing the editing, I love and the directing and all that kind of stuff. The colors, I love the red
Yeah.
and the kind of
Yeah.
the mix with the shadows there. So you've clearly got an eye for this, and clearly you can see the passion that's being kind of pushed into this project. Really interested to know, like, so this kind of thing, like you said, it's kind of, I think you referenced it as like a capstone project. I imagine that's kind of like your final year thing. It's your case study, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So is this common? Would have people gone to this length before to do this kind of thing? Of other, do you know of other students that have, well, in your college at least, that have done final projects up to like this hour and a half length film? I know Luke did mention that I don't know if you're happy to kind of share about it, but you're actually putting your own level of investment into this and putting kind of
Yeah.
stuff on the line here. So yeah, I'm just interested to know how, are you breaking the mold slightly a little bit here with this? But I know you also said in that kind of what you were saying, like regardless, even if you weren't going to do this for your final
Yeah.
project, you would have probably been putting the same investment in. You would have still made this project kind of come to life. So yeah, but is it different that the way that you're trying to do your senior project? I think you called it.
Yeah. Yeah. So technically, this is the first capstone that's achieving a feature film.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I said, I
Sorry,
think
so like, what is that difference between a feature or a short? I know
yeah.
a short. You said like 5 minutes, 15 minutes. What kind of defines the difference between the two? Is it time? Is it that level of investment, all that kind of stuff? I don't know how you would categorize it. Basically, sorry before you.
Yeah. On a very basic technicality, it's just time. I think feature film is relatively considered anything that's over like 45, 50-ish minutes.
Right.
But like it also always differs. I mean, there are like student capstones before in the past. I guess I should preface, yeah, that the capstone is basically a culmination of all the work you've done leading up. So senior year, it's like your final big project. So and for media artists, um it's a 2 semester thing. So you have that time to work on it, and it's usually really up to the student. Um, I'd say a very common one we see is short films. There's always a lot of short films. There's a lot of like mini documentaries as well. That's those two kind of are the big ones. Um, so yeah, I mean, there's been short films in the past shown at capstones, whether they're 5 minutes, whether they're 30 minutes. Um, but no one's ever tried to achieve this scale in regards to a capstone. Like I was saying about my brother, he's done this kind of scale stuff for, again, just purely out of passion. We're both
Mm-hmm.
very passionate people in the sense that like we don't necessarily need a class to dictate what our work is going to be. Like we have the ability to just be like, okay, I want to make something, I'm going to make it happen, whether I'm being told to by a professor or not.
Yeah.
So in that regard, it's not the first time a feature film has been done out of Bethany. But it is technically I guess you could say I'm breaking the mold for that as a capstone. Um, but what's really interesting about this too is this year we're also kind of um in addition to that kind of being a new concept, we're also, myself and 2 others are also participating in the capstone. So this year 3 of us have kind of joined together to make it more of, I mean, a
group final
situation.
project. Okay, cool, nice.
So and they each have their individual parts in it. Like mine is, I'm writer, director, editor. Colton, he's our director of photography, so he does all of the camera work, he shoots it. He and I are very close working together on set because we talk through our color, our lighting, things like that. And then Mason, he's our assistant director and is also doing our he's building a documentary about the film.
Yeah,
because
cool.
we've captured so much behind the scenes and so much footage that we really didn't want to just like have stored anywhere. We decided like it would be really cool to, his belief is that he wants to show people who don't know what the filmmaking process is like he keeps kind of preaching about like people don't know the amount of work that goes into something like this, and he really wants to show that. So yeah, we're kind of inventing some new concepts here as a capstone, which is fun, considering it's a feature film, and there's kind of 3 different capstones, all based 3 different people working through the same capstone essentially. But yeah,
so I guess give it as much as you can. Give kind of what the synopsis of this film is, if you can. And people are going to see the trailer anyway, but like, give a synopsis of what the film and what it's meant to kind of be.
Yeah. So like I said, it's kind of a blend of genres, with the main 2 kind of being horror and drama and sci-fi. I keep forgetting to say sci-fi, but that's horror. Sci-fi is kind of the umbrella, and then there are different. So the story is essentially it follows a young reporter. Her name is Nikki Quinn, and she is chasing this story, and the story essentially that she's trying to document and get footage of and get insight on is of a married couple who are scientists, and they are kind of tucked away, hidden in this remote underground facility, that is kind of off the grid, no one really knows about, and they are in possession of a specimen, of an alien specimen. And so there's 6 characters kind of as our ensemble cast that go together. So Nikki's our lead, Gabe and Heather are the scientists, and then Corey is her boss, Nikki's boss, who works at a company called Starspill alongside her 2 friends, Wes and Bailey. And so essentially the story just the overarching theme is just about telling the correct stories. Like it's about, why storytelling matters
Yeah.
essentially. Um, and so Nikki's kind of that through line of she's carrying that theme throughout the story, just, trying to find the best moments and trying to always tell the truth in her storytelling for the right people, for the right
Yeah.
reasons. Um, ends up everyone kind of is at the lab at the same time, and they get into the what's
Shit
called
hits the fan.
initiation day. Yeah, yep, and then it's the fan, and we go crazy, and the alien kind of comes out, and it kind of completely flips into just a classic trapped in a facility, no escape with an alien, and so
Awesome.
they've got to get out, and they've got to figure it out. So yeah.
Awesome. So, oh my God, I've got so many questions with this, like, and so many different angles, like where did the inspiration from and all this kind of stuff. So, I'll start with the inspiration. Where have you got some of your inspirations for this kind of thing? Is it stuff from your childhood? Obviously, you've talked about your brother, so family, friends, etc. But so I guess that's the you've always had this inspiration to go into this field in a way. Where did your inspiration to go into filmmaking start? Was it in childhood? Is it through your brother? Where just love of films? Where
Yeah.
how come right, put the genre to the side? Just filmmaking in general. What kind of prompted you to get into that space?
Yeah, I really don't. I wouldn't say I was wanted to be a filmmaker until kind of around freshman, sophomore year of college. So, I mean, growing up, even the stuff that I was making or my brother was making, they were smaller scale, just like little fun videos. Like we would just take out our phone and record and be like, okay, now look like you're hitting someone, and then blah blah blah, and then we just chuck it all together and make it look goofy.
Yeah.
Um, so growing up, it was never necessarily like I want to do this, but like seriously I want to take this path and really run with it. It was just always a hobby, but it was we were always very good at it. I mean, I was told by many people like that this was something we were good at, something you should keep doing, but it never really crossed my mind to take it as a career slash educational path.
Yeah.
It was always just for fun. So it didn't really occur to me to want to seriously go down that path kind of until that I'd call it a wake up call was when I was at River Falls and I was just realizing this is not where I want to be.
What
It
were,
was
what
it
were you
was kind of
studying there? Sorry.
I was going in for graphic design, and that
Okay.
was, I mean, so still media related,
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
kind of at in that area. But the only real reason I was doing that or chose that school was because I didn't quite know what I wanted to do.
Hmm.
So, I mean, essentially it was just like okay, my friend's going here, I guess I'll go with. I don't really have anything better to do.
Yeah.
Um, it was never a calculated decision to go pursue something.
Hmm.
So when I was there, I kind of had that wake up call that was like, okay, I need to figure out what I want to do. And then when my brother Joey was here at Bethany, I was seeing the work he was doing and the work that the department was doing, and realizing that, oh, there's a community of extremely creative people here, and they're all making amazing content, but all slightly different content too. Like the variety was really cool to see. Um, so that then sparked that kind of inner, I know I want to be going there for arts, filmmaking, media. I don't know necessarily what the path specifically I want to take is.
Yeah.
So then when I got there, once I kind of made that first short film, it kind of clicked in my mind that, oh yeah, this is something I want to seriously get into. And then around the same time was when I really dove deep into just watching as much films and as much movies as physically possible.
Hmm.
So I have, in the past 3 years, I've seen probably more films than I've seen in like the 10 years of my life growing up. I mean, I've
Wow.
just like, yeah. So I've just really become inspired by watching other films, watching other, TV shows and different pieces of media. Um, and it really was also kind of solidified the kinds of films I wanted to be making through that process of just, watching as much as I could. Because I love the 70s and 80s in regards to just the kind of films that they were making then. I think there's so much, like, there's something so special about movies that kind of predate CGI and like kind of getting into that realm of things where it's like they had to shoot everything in a particular way and they had to think specifically about how they're going to pull off these crazy things that they can't do on a computer. Like they have to do these things practically or whatever else. And so, I mean, this film specifically, I would say the biggest inspiration comes from the Alien franchise.
Yeah, I get
I,
that.
I did a very big deep dive into those, and I've now seen them over and over. And I was very inspired by all of those, and then that kind of created this journey of consuming all the horror sci-fi movies I can, like anything that is about an alien that attacks people. I'm just going to watch and figure out what's the recipe, what is the strategy, what should you do, what shouldn't you do. Just consume all those different things, and then that was kind of eventually kind of how Captive became about, was just because that's the genre that was in my mind, and that's what I was consuming so much of, and I wanted to kind of just participate in that conversation. So, but yeah, so I would say, I mean, I didn't really know this was what I wanted to be doing until like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And it really didn't solidify until I kind of took that journey of just watching as much as I could.
Yeah. So, do you play video games much at all?
I do here and there. I dabble. My favorite video game is Skyrim. I am obsessed with Skyrim.
Okay. So story-based games again.
Yeah, kind of the story open world ones, but
because when I was watching the trailer, I was getting like Deep Space 2 vibes. I don't know if you're familiar with that game. I was getting a bit of Outlast 2. Is it Outlast 2 or Outlast? I can't remember.
Yeah.
The Outlast game, if you're familiar with that one. Them kind of horror games. I know they're kind of both sci-fi because Outlast is kind of zombie messed up, isn't it? So, I mean, I like horror films, but I'm not a horror like super fan in a sense. I've got a friend, Tyrone. I don't know if you said you've got like a 5-minute short horror, right? Did you say that? Is that on YouTube? Where do you kind of where's that listed?
Yeah, it's on YouTube and my website. I have I kind of have everything just as like it's accessible through my website, but the videos as well are just kind of on my YouTube channel.
Okay, cool. Because he loves, when I go around to his house, he like, when there's nothing else to watch, he's like, right, what's the new short horror that's on YouTube?
Yeah.
And he'll flick through them. And our favorite one is like, I think it's called like Man in a Box or something like that. I don't know if you've seen that one.
I've seen that one.
Like blends his head out the cardboard box. I think we've watched that 3 times. I think it's because we're showing it the people of like, oh, watch this one kind of thing. So I'll be interested to find out what yours is and then show him the short movie there because he loves short horrors. But yeah, horrors haven't been like top of my list in terms of films. I would say that I do like these more sci-fi thriller horror kind of things because I'm more, let's just say, nerdy, and I like more sci-fi things anyway.
Yeah.
I'm not as much into like the, what was it, Paranormal Activities, all them kind of things.
Yeah.
I'm not as much into that kind of thing. One, because I'm actually kind of scared of them. I remember watching one of them. I like the idea of an alien. I don't mind because I'm like, it's physical. I might be able to kill it. I know we're talking about theoreticals here, but some ethereal thing that's going to bite me on my leg and demonize me, that I just don't like watching that kind of stuff. But like, alien movies, I'm interested. So you've dove into that world. Is Prometheus part of the Alien franchise technically?
Yeah, it's the first real like prequel, and it was like kind of the first step outside of the original 4.
Is it the one with Fassbender in?
Yeah, Michael Fassbender's in that one, and Alien Covenant, which are kind of back to back.
Covenant.
Yeah, Covenant's it's kind of a sequel to Prometheus. Those two kind of go together.
Right.
So yeah.
Oh, is Covenant the one where then Michael Fassbender goes even more like evil mode in a way, and
Yeah.
he's the one that kind of babies the xenomorphs in a kind of yeah.
Yep.
I think I kind of
Yep.
remember watching that one.
Yeah.
Prometheus, is that the one where it starts with the white dude who kind of like his
Where
nose
he's
won't
like
fall and
falling off the waterfall.
yeah, that was kind of I
Very,
like that one. That was
very
kind of cool.
cool opening.
So
Yeah.
you were talking about also CGI there in old films. So are you going for more practical effects in Captive? Is that the plan? And I know we talked about, I kind of mentioned it about your own investment in this. I know you've got two peers working on this. How much is actually going in or already gone into making Captive? I imagine there's pros and cons in cost savings. I mean, CGI probably costs absolutely loads to do, but like practical equally is not going to be cheap, right? If you're kind of really going right with it.
Yeah.
So how is this all? How have you managed to achieve this for an hour and a half film?
Yeah. So I think I love preaching about practicality because there's just something so much more like, especially just on set, if you really want the actor to get the kind of reaction you're looking for, and if you want that believability, it's better to have like a tangible physical thing there for them to base their emotions and reactions off of. So a big early hiccup was in writing the script was just, okay, we need an alien egg, we need an actual big alien like costume, we need all like a mini version of the alien, we need all these different kinds of things. And I learned quickly that you have to spend the money and you have to get the good stuff because I mean, granted, this is still a very low budget film. Low budget still being, it's more than I was expecting to spend on the film, but it's been very, very worth it to do so. A big thing I learned while working on Mina was that like you have to go all in, because when I was doing that one, I kind of settled for, I still wanted it practical, but I kind of settled for this like cheap mask and gloves combo for the vampire, and I tried to kind of disguise that within our lighting and our shadows and our costuming and everything else. And it's very noticeable that it's not, that it's not great looking. And it's kind of one of those things that it takes you out a bit, and it didn't quite stick the landing. And so I learned pretty quickly doing that, we need to stick the landing. And if like the alien is the big thing in the film, it's going to have to look fantastic. It's going to have to look real. So that was a whole thing. I spent so much time digging into what all of our practical effects needed to be and how much money they were going to be, and where I can get these things, because they're not easy to come across. It's a very niche thing to need like, an alien body and an alien shoulders or legs or things like that. So that was kind of tough to find what options were out there. We eventually decided we were going to do kind of a combination of many things, and we separately bought a really good latex, like form-fitting mask, as well as then separately buying a big like suit. So it's like it's pants, it's feet, it's gloves, it's the chest.
Yeah.
And then we kind of combined those things, and then I went through our through Holly. She was doing our art stuff, our art direction, props and things like that.
Yeah.
So then I worked together with her to then disguise those parts, how they're going to fit together. And then if we have, there's like a lab coat that it wears and other stuff like that, and tearing those up to kind of disguise more stuff. So it was it ended up becoming a very original, creative looking creature concept because of how we did it. We kind of took things from different areas and combined it all into this one conglomerate. So I'm really proud of how the practical has worked out for us, because it's not something that's easy to achieve. And again, I mean, all of this takes money, definitely more than I'd like to admit, but it all takes money to do, and you need to have the right kind of people working on the team to make these things happen. So, but I mean, overall, I'd say I'm very proud of the practical work that we're doing with it.
Okay, that's really cool to understand how you've put together this enemy, this alien in a way for the film. You talked about was it a vampire in Mina? You
Yeah.
said
Yep.
so with the gloves and kind of trying to hide it with lighting. How do you combat like perfectionism within your work? I know when I'm going through the edit with my episodes on the YouTube, like there'll be slight audio blips, and I always think, and I notice it now when I watch other people's stuff. Oh, there's a little blip there, or why is the camera froze on this bit? And I notice it now, but like 95% of people that don't do this don't notice it. And I always wonder how much of it, of me going that extra couple of steps, is actually appreciated, or am I just trying to appease myself and my own vision kind of thing? So again, with having to edit a whole hour and a half, how much stress is going into, well, is this bit right? Is that bit right? Well, this image here, this image here, you know, does the big bad actually look good in this shot? You know, reshots, all this kind of stuff. How are you with battling perfectionism? Do you even suffer from perfectionism in your work?
Oh yeah, I definitely do. I mean, well, first of all, before I even get into that, I'll just say it's a blessing and a curse to, like, in our situation where we know what editing is like and we know kind of the process. I always say it's a blessing and a curse because, like, now you'll watch a movie and you'll always notice those things, right? Or you'll be like looking for it or thinking about how you did that. So in one regard, it's like all the media you consume, you're always going to be overly thinking about the little details of it, which is kind of the first part. But then, I mean, obviously the blessing is you know how to make that kind of stuff. Yeah. I That's the thing. I feel like everyone as a media artist is generally a perfectionist,
Mm-hmm.
myself included. I mean, I definitely need to always be making sure like the tiniest details are correct. And like even in this teaser now, the one I showed you, we're having some very minor bit rate issues and some little quality things that are just very super specific tiny things that happen through exporting and things like that. And even those, I'm just like, I technically it was going to be scheduled to post today at 12, and I don't even think that's going to happen anymore because now I need to go back in and correct those little issues and those little things. So that's where the perfectionist part of me is like, I really need to go in and get those. But then there's another part of me that, again, we've all been taught this too, kind of in our department, is like feedback is key. Feedback is important. And so I am usually able to step outside of the project, give it off to someone else and just say, watch through, like, people who also know this craft, people who have been, doing this professionally and learning these things. That's their education. I'll kind of, we show our little updates and whatnot in our capstone class. So like I'll take 10 minutes of the 30 minutes I've edited and I'll show the class. And that's where I kind of just step outside of it. I say, everyone else, take the reins, write down everything that sucks, write down everything you like, just give me the whole range of things. And then from there, that kind of then lets me know, like, okay, here's what I need to be focusing on instead of the other little things. Because a lot of times it's the minor things, like an audio blip or whatever you said, like that. Sometimes it's nice to try and, like, if you notice it and you show it to someone else and they don't notice it, it might be one of those things where, like, you've just been listening to it for way too long because you're listening over and over and over and over while you're in that editing process, and you don't even think that, like, you think it's so obvious, and then you show it to someone else, they're like, I didn't see anything wrong.
Didn't even catch it.
Yeah. So sometimes that's kind of how I battle it, because, like, it is definitely a stressful thing, of especially just considering timeline, because right now I'm on a pretty strict timeline of it needs to be done by a certain time so that it can premiere when it needs to.
Yeah.
So I think there's a balance that I'm always trying to find of myself trying to be a perfectionist, but also letting other people dictate for me a little bit what needs to be worked on or not.
Hmm.
So that's where it's nice having this kind of community of people who are all in the same major and all know the kinds of skills and whatnot it takes to do that. Um, because then you're just being able to present your work and have other people kind of pitch in so that that weight is off your shoulders.
Well, that's nice. That's nice. I'm sure you appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's interesting to me then also with that, but also with being a perfectionist sometimes. I also have a little bit of I always seek feedback, whether it's in a work context, whether it's, you know, my professional day-to-day job, also with my Sonderverse episodes. I always seek feedback. But then there's sometimes when I get a little bit of rejection sensitivity dysphoria, where like someone says something as a critique, and that was one of the things that I was never expecting to even hear as the critique. And then my brain goes, whoa, you're this has almost offended me to my core, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So when you're doing them rounds of feedback, I imagine there's certain times when stuff comes through. Does it ever give you that second thought of like, am I going the right way with the project, that kind of thing? Or no, that's someone's opinion. I'm going to stick true to my vision and stick true to the project, kind of thought.
Yeah, it's tough because like sometimes I think about what feedback should I be taking and what shouldn't I be taking. That's what's really tough, is because they're opinions usually by people. It's not the word is truth. It's kind of just, you need to choose the things you think are correct.
Yeah.
So it's very tough to try and figure out what feedback you should or shouldn't take. But like you're saying, I literally just had an instance of kind of feeling offended by something, but it ended up being a good thing. I'll be honest, my professor gave me some feedback on something, and I was a bit pissed. And I hope he doesn't watch this, but but I was like, "Are you kidding?" I was not. That was the last thing on my mind that I was thinking about. I had no idea that this was something that was affecting the film. It just kind of annoyed me. I was like, I don't think that's something, whatever. And then considered it more, and I made those changes, and oh my gosh, the film is so much better because of
really?
it.
Wow. Okay.
So it's hard because usually when I have instances like that, it's just something that I force myself to push through, because I have learned that all feedback I get comes from a place of, these people are trying to help.
Yeah.
For the most part, like in the context of this project, that's the situation. It might be different if you're, doing a professional thing or doing something else where the feedback can kind of be dictated by other people that you're just like, that's a dumb comment to say or whatever.
Sure.
But in the context of this project, where it's a film that all these people want to see succeed and are all helping out to make it better, I try to just take any personal stuff out of it and force myself to say, everyone is saying these things because they want it to be the best it can possibly be.
Yeah.
And so I need to then get myself in the mindset of, I can't like put a guard up or have people saying something and then I have kind of a rebuttal of like, okay, well, I was thinking this instead. Because I mean, I definitely see instances like that where people, even myself, if I'm trying to help other students, and I'll give a comment about, I think this could be improved, or here's a slight thing I would change. And then there's kind of this, okay, well, I was doing it this way because of this. And they quickly get like defensive about it or put up a guard. And my impression is not to insult. My impression is I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to
take it or leave it, kind of thing. Yeah,
exactly. So I've learned that I need to kind of take myself outside of that, and I need to kind of put emotions on the side. And a big thing a big phrase that kind of lingers around the media arts department is leave your ego at the door. And I mean, that's a big one that, everyone hears. But that's a huge one for us, because if if you walk into the room and you leave your ego at the door and you view everyone in the room as just, we are all equal. We are all the same. We're all working on our own individual stuff, and we are all trying to help each other. It makes it easier to be able to accept that feedback. And obviously though, like in the moment, like I was saying, sometimes it stings to be like, I would never have expected that to be the comment that someone makes about something. But then, I mean, learn just firsthand experience. Then you go through and you touch up on those things that people said, and you take a step back and you go, wow, this is exponentially better.
Yeah, you could have always done it and then be like, no, okay, my vision was still better. Like I tried it, I took the feedback. No, I still agree with my vision. But then it gives you there's a humility in trying it and then going, do you know what? Yeah, okay, this definitely has leveled it up, kind of thing. So
yeah,
going forwards then. So in terms of this has got a premiere soon. I imagine it's got to be ready also to submit for final project. What are your plans with? So has everything been recorded now up to this point? It's now just kind of edit, all that kind of.
It's working through the edit. Yep.
So you're
so we
the edit
a couple reshoots, but
right.
I'm doing all of the editing. I have an assistant editor, Nia. He kind of worked through some of kind of just the syncing up and like setting the stage for scenes. Because the way I'm working is like each scene is its own editing timeline. Because otherwise, I mean, we have currently 8 terabytes of footage. Wow. It's kind of crazy. There's a lot. Which and like on a Hollywood
cheap nowadays either. Memories not cheap.
Yeah, no, exactly. But like on like if you think about like Hollywood scale, like that feels like nothing. But as a scale, like what we're doing as students, everything, it's pretty insane how much footage there is. So I had an assistant editor who worked through essentially he would just go into the timeline of each scene, he would sync all the audio and video, and he would kind of hit the settings where we would be at, so that then when it passes on to me, I can just go in and just start where I don't have to kind of do the organizational prep work to get to just editing. And that has been making the process so much faster, which is really, really nice. And I also managed to like edit a bit as we were shooting as well. So production kind of took place fall into winter. And during those seasons I was able to go in and edit some scenes as well, which was really nice because now I hit a point this week where I'm trying to task myself with like 10 minutes a week, essentially like 10 minutes of film time, not 10 minutes of editing.
You get no that.
Yeah, exactly. So in that task this week was really nice because I edited one scene and then I kind of hit this really quick spot of there were 4 scenes that I had already previously edited that all I needed to do was like go in and touch up on them. So this week's like goal kind of flew by really fast because I had already set the stage for myself by, doing some of the editing in the process earlier on. But yeah, I mean, deadline wise what's really interesting is that I don't quite know where it's going to live yet because the goal is going to be
finished.
So it's going to be when it's finished, it's going to be premiered in a theater for the people who want it to go see the showcase and everything else. After that, though, the trouble is the goal is to get distribution and also to get it into film festivals. So it might kind of be this process of a few months or over the summer, however long it takes, of where the film doesn't really live anywhere because it's being screened in festivals or it's in the process of working its way to streaming. And the reason being is that I don't want to just kind of settle for putting it on YouTube. As a film, that's not where people watch films, really. That's not where that kind of content lives. And I could just kind of follow that and just put it on YouTube and then link it through my website. But I really want this one to be something that can reach people on their screen, like on their TV screen, because that's where I'd like people to see the movie. That's how the movie should be seen. So the goal is going to be to get streaming essentially. So that plus film festivals hopefully is kind of maybe a foot in the door for the next project.
Interesting. So that's where you could end up getting the return on investment to kind of, if you go through streaming, you're getting the return on investment for your project and final and getting all that kind of stuff. But in terms of also trying to recoup, I know with these kind of passion projects, when it's not still kind of your job, and so to say, yeah, like you
Yeah,
will put, blood, sweat, and tears, and also some financial in it anyway, because again, it's a piece of art that you want to create.
exactly.
I've got lights. I've put money into this, and it's going to probably be God knows how long until if I even ever make any kind of return on
Yeah,
investment on it. But
yeah,
it's the passion project that I want to pursue and keep doing. And I could have equally have just pissed it down the drain at the pub by drinking loads of pints and
exactly.
wasting the money that way. So I guess that's an avenue for you to hopefully maybe make some return on
Right.
investment, or even go blow past it. So with these, I'm not familiar at all. I mean, I've watched. Are you familiar with Red? Is it Red Letter Media? Them guys on YouTube. They do like film
I don't
reviews.
I don't think I've seen them. No, but
I kind of love watching that. That's where I get my what did I say? Slight overview and preview into
yeah,
horror films.
yeah,
They love horror films, and especially they love like more the underground, I would say,
yeah,
horror films that even I would like. I don't know if you can find that on Netflix or
exactly.
the
Yeah,
kind of thing. And I don't even. I imagine like the super fans know where to source all this kind of stuff, who the different distributors are, etc. So I imagine. So what are you kind? Have you got a mindset of what you want to set your sights on in terms of like certain distributors? Again, I'm very ignorant to this world. Like, what would be your plan post getting college out of the way, graduating, etc., trying to get this? You said through film festivals. I imagine that's just kind of the case of a submission, and
yep,
then they select, and then it gets shown, etc. But to actually get it on some form of platform, do you know the channels? Do you know through industry, through what you've learned on your course, etc.? Do you know where you want to go with that?
yeah. So it's interesting too because it's also a very new thing to me. One thing I wish we touched on more just in our program was the distribution end was like how to get films where they need to be.
Yeah.
Um, that's not something we really have been taught necessarily. So that's kind of something I'm discovering as I go.
Hmm.
Um, I can't quite recall what the name of the program was, but there's this website that kind of connects you to distributors. You can basically reach out and say, "Hey, I have a film I'm looking to get somewhere." So in August, I went on that website and reached out, got an email back that basically just said, "Hey, we can help you with distribution. What we need from you would be a full finished film and the trailer."
Okay.
And then kind of from there, it would be then the distributor the distributor kind of seeing what platforms it's able to get on and go to. Um, and there's definitely, there's more, there's a lot of kind of cheap streaming services out there that wouldn't be a challenge necessarily to get it out on. Um, so I'm not worried I'm not really worried in any sense that it won't go anywhere. I know it'll get to some of the streaming services. I think it'd just be really cool to the goal right now is it'd be really cool to get it on Amazon Prime.
Hmm.
Because I've looked intentionally for a lot of the more lesser known kind of underground films that are on there and just comparing it to the work we've done and what our film is and looks like and quality wise. Um, I think that's achievable based
Yeah.
on what else I've seen on there. Um, what I think would be the best bet is there are film festivals that you can submit to kind of for producers
Hmm.
essentially. So you can pay X amount of money to send this film to a screening where producers will watch it and say, I want to buy that film and distribute it out and figure out like the next steps with it. Um, and that's an avenue that I think could really be possible. Because there's also something about there's more I think going straight to streaming is it would be less of like an opportunity. It'd just be more of a here's where you can watch it, and less of a this film will take me somewhere.
Yeah.
Whereas submitting to those film festivals, and if you get awards or whatever else, or if the right person sees it, then that could get you a connection to the industry and get you to kind of where you want to go.
Yeah.
Well, maybe simultaneously elevating the movie and getting it out somewhere for people to view. So that's kind of the two birds with one stone route that I'd really like to see happen. Again, the quality of what our work and what we're making, I don't think is unbelievable for getting it to be in a successful spot. I mean, I know the amount of work that's gone into it, obviously personally, and I know the kind of filmmaking techniques and tactics we've used and everything else. I really do think it has the potential to get somewhere good. So I think it's kind of just over the summer and however else long it takes, I think it's going to just kind of be a matter of trying to get it into the right hands, basically. Yeah.
Just a quick thought here and an opinion in a way. And I don't want to kind of cheapen the art and the genre, but I know I imagine with horror, can you thrill someone with it? Can it give a jump scare? Can it basically give someone an adrenaline rush? I mean, I guess that's one metric, KPI for is this a good film or not? But it sounds like you're also injecting a story into it as well. I mean, I've seen plenty of horrors where oh my God, the story's just dead. But still, I shit myself 3 times halfway through it because there was there was a loud bang or a loud screech, etc. I guess there's a way that horrors can be very cheap at getting what seems like a reaction because okay, you go watch some really cheap superhero film, right? Well, the special abilities or the kind of the actions that they're doing looks crap. They're not flying around. CGI's off. But I could watch some horror, and so long as I jumped out of my skin 5 times, at the peak of the kind of story, then I will go, yeah, that was a good horror film because I'd left it kind of pretty scared. So I imagine that's in there, but you're trying to go levels above in terms of also that story element, but also how you've edited it and the direction and the vision. So is that where the film festival element comes into it? Because that's the level of scrutiny and also appreciation that will be given in the film festivals. And I'm not, again, in that world. So when you get an award, is that immediately well, okay, that must be hot shit, that film, where whoever's made that must be an up and coming star? Or even when I've global, what is it called, the Golden Globes, people say it's also still a money business or who kind of business, because I know there's always oh my God, how did that film win the award? Everyone knows it should have been this film, which actually was the best this year, and everyone just kind of says, oh well, it's money or it's people who know each other and that's why they won. So does that happen in the film festival industry, or are you going to need to be in the networks also and having that level of influence? Because obviously this channel is also about people to people connections. How much are you doing that in terms of really, do you ever have the time to really immerse yourselves also in the circles that are in the filmmaking industry as well?
I mean, that's one of my goals for sure within the next year or so is I really want to just try and build the connections that I can. And through Bethany, we've already had some good connections. I've actually helped on set of a spec shoot for a Cadillac commercial. So that was pretty neat. In fact, Luke and I both were at that one. But in regards to the film festival concept, there are, like you were saying, the community there is going to be more appreciative of a film that has substance and story. So that's where it's I was really trying to go above, like you said, just kind of the cheap thrills and just random cut on screen to get a big flashy jump scare or whatever else. I'm definitely trying to ingrain some more elevated story into it. because I really want it to have heart, and it really means a lot to me, and it's very personal to me. And I think that so many people come away from horror movies just on such a surface level of
Yeah.
just again, being like, oh, that scared me. I had a great time.
Mhm.
Whereas I would really like for people to kind of come away from this one being, well, oh, that scared me, but also like that really had some heart to it.
Yeah.
And especially like I am very attracted to directors that have particular styles,
Mhm.
particular visions. And so, like you were saying when you were watching the trailer, like I really working with Colton and just working with my personal preferences and styles, like we've really honed in on this film has a very specific look and feel
Yeah.
to it. Like it's set in the 90s. It's a bit grittier, grainier, softer looking. It,
Cool.
it has very intense and specific color palettes. Um, so I think that also elevates the film so much, is seeing that it's coming from someone who clearly has a direction they want to go with it,
Yeah.
and maybe even if the story's lacking a bit, then you're at least still attracted to, okay, well, they made it something unconventional because they did it in a very particular way or style.
Yeah.
So that's where the film festival community kind of helps. I've been to a couple now. And with the awards that you were asking about, it kind of always is dependent on what the film festival is and where it is.
Mhm.
Because like Mina won best student short film at an Egan Film Festival. I think it was like 2000, not even that, probably not even that many people. But
Right.
it's kind of depends on how the scale of the film festival and whatnot.
Yeah.
So again, all of the distribution stuff is a world that I'm new to, and then I'm looking kind of to discover once the project is wrapped in the editing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So which is really nice for me too, though, because then it doesn't feel like I'm quite letting go of it yet. When
Mhm.
it's done and it's completely fully finished in the edit, it still may have more time to actually get it to where it needs to go. Which excites me that it's a longer process, but it's a more worth it process. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
I assume that by the time it gets distribution or is into film festivals or whatever it may be, it'll have been about a year and 10 months or something like that. I mean, I started this project in no, maybe October of 2024, I
Okay.
believe. Um,
It's a long.
the writing process,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
initial, like, everything all started there. Um, so it's been something I've been working on for a while, but the distribution stuff, because it's so new to me, I'm very excited to kind of dig into. And I just also love the concept of film festivals and just going to watch other people's work and, having the opportunity to kind of talk about yourself and your work and what you were going for with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah.
So you started off making films, like, well, clips, videos, whatever you want to call, with your siblings, you said, or sibling.
Yep.
You've then gone through to helping with short films. You're now building up, you are in the process of making your first feature length film that is of your vision along with some peers. You're then hopefully going to submit that to college as the final capstone project. You're then also then going to have this journey of submitting it to festivals. You're going to hopefully get it onto streaming platform. And then if that is the end goal and you achieve that with this film and you get some good success with it, what are your plans for the future? Even if this one doesn't achieve what you want it to do, I imagine you're going to have still the kind of yearnings to go forwards and make more films and more projects. What are your aspirations for the future? Where do you want to be in this industry? What kind of creator do you want to be? Which one of them roles do you want to take? I know you're kind of wearing many hats right now as part of the project, but what's your vision for yourself for the future and your aspirations?
Yeah. I mean, I think ultimate dream end goal, which whether it's achievable or not, it's still a goal. I would love to just be a director in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be a very, very fun world to dive into. Obviously an extremely hard world and area to get to being there. And if it doesn't happen, which because it likely won't, that's not gonna affect me. It's a goal and it's what I want to do, but I also know that my talents can be used in so many other realms as well.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I think if that's not something I'm able to achieve, I still want to work my way into the film industry regardless. Whether I'm helping out on set just as a grip or doing lighting or whatever else. But I think that, that's kind of the end goal. And if that doesn't happen, I won't stop making passion projects.
Yeah.
I'm always going to want to make the next one and figure out what the next one's going to be. And if that's a self-funded situation where I put money into it and I show it to a couple film festivals and it reaches a small audience and they say that was fun, that was great, that's okay with me. I'm happy to just, what makes me happy is making the art, So if I don't get this payoff of being a huge director who makes all this money, that's not gonna stop me. It's definitely where I want to be, but it's not by any means I won't
be all and end all if you don't make it. Yeah,
exactly.
It's a North Star. It's an aspiration, and there's a journey to get there at some point. And generally, the ones who put the heftiest goals and actually put the heart on it end up achieving it in some form or fashion. So, yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see the film. To be honest, and even with the trailer, I am actually excited to see the film. I've got friends that I would sit and watch that kind of film with, so like I can already feel it in the trailer. So that's obviously a really good starting point. You've talked about practical effects, and with the Sonderverse show, I always say like part of what I want to kind of document throughout all of these conversations is how AI is impacting the world, how it's evolving. Even from when I did my first episode, AI has dramatically made leaps and bounds from when July last year, July 2025, and I just really, especially when you talked about loving practical effects, how do you feel about AI and its impacts and what it's going to have on the filmmaking industry? Will you ever kind of lean into using it, even whether it's just for planning processes like planning shots, etc.? I loved watching the behind the scenes of Stranger Things, like when they almost had like the 3D like video, almost like very crappy Mario graphics of like just showing where the Demogorgon would be, but like that's just to kind of conceptualize a shot. So I don't know if you've used AI at all for that kind of planning process. Do you anticipate using it ever yourself in some form or fashion, or even have used it so far with your work? And also just your thoughts of like, what do you think its impact is going to be for the future of the industry? We've seen lawsuits already from stuff like Dance. Dance is, if people don't know it, I think is it ByteDance in Asia somewhere. I think it's kind of AI studio or something like that. And there's a viral clip right now of like Brad Pitt fighting Tom Cruise, and it looks fairly realistic.
Yeah, crazy.
There's ones of like Spider-Man and all sorts of stuff, and it looks crazy good. But I don't know, it does still feel cheap in terms of like it's there for the entertainment factor, but obviously we've not seen anything with full substance come from it yet. So but I can see the potential that's there. If at some point it does go on this huge exponential curve where AI has like reduced the barrier to entry to lots of things, like it's helped me make this show, like it's made me a logo, it's made me this, that, and the other. At what point will you be able to have people just writing a prompt or plugging in a script themselves and then having some AI make an hour and a half film, take 10 hours to render it or whatever, but it still does it. So yeah, sorry, I'm really bad at asking questions. I hope I improve over my time doing this show, but like, have you used AI? Do you use it in the planning process? How do you think it's going to impact the industry going forwards?
Yeah, so it's interesting because when AI was really just kind of starting to boom 3-ish two years ago, I would say, was when it was really kind of just becoming really big. Um, it was actually something that we were very encouraged to use at for classes and for other stuff. I currently tend to stay away from it in regards to creative work. I tend to stay away from it for, generating images or generating videos, and that's just kind of off of personal preference, because
Yeah.
I like to I want the work to be put in by myself or by someone else. I'd rather that than have it generated. Um, but in Mina, there was, and again, this is I would attribute just kind of because the college was very, hey, look at this new tool we have now to accomplish what we need. And there were two shots in there where I kind of used AI generation to make like a backdrop, essentially. So it's
Yeah.
like this shot of her walking through a field, and then I just cut out that part of her walking through the field, and then I made this big, like, using a ton of prompts and different assets that I found and whatever else, I was able to kind of create this like castle background
Yeah.
for the character to walk towards. But now kind of seeing back and like looking back at that already, like, it was a year or 2 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
it already looks incredibly dated.
Right.
It already looked very like, oh, this is clearly AI generated, and it was kind of during that weird experimental
Yeah.
phase with it. So it was something that I utilized when it was very much looked at as a tool, to kind of help. I feel like definitely now it's become a lot more than that, where it obviously, I mean, it's taking jobs and whatever else, but it's I don't necessarily think that I mean, it's having impact on the film industry.
Yeah.
But there will never not be people making art and making their films without like there'll always be people who want to make it themselves and want to craft it themselves.
Yeah.
And like I don't think we'll necessarily see like a AI wins type situation, like where like is how films are being made. Or I'm curious as to when the first full AI film is going to be released, because that'll be probably pretty soon now, based on just seeing Sea Dance and some of the stuff that's happening. Yeah, I mean, it's what I kind of struggle with is just like, I wouldn't say the morality of it necessarily, but kind of that's where my head lies, is I just don't personally like to dabble with it, because it feels like work that a person could be doing, or that someone else could be doing. So I tend to kind of stay
But
away from it.
But with that point, and I understand that point too, and I am keenly aware of how, one, it's going to strip people of their livelihoods, but also strip kind of the heart and soul of some things, where you've kind of used AI to shortcut. And again, it's the benefit of like, it's broken down a barrier to entry. It's allowed you to do that. Like, you've created a backdrop that could have been, with other studios would have CGI generated it and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But in terms of like the old animations of the old animes back in the day, literally every scene was drawn by hand. Now animation is done a completely different way. And I imagine the old animators of past would have been like, well, you've just cheapened it, you've cheated, you've chosen a shortcut, etc. But that's the innovation that's allowed increased productivity of some of these things, because certain animated films back in the day took absolutely eons to make. I remember, it's one of the films where it took like one animator a year to basically animate single-handedly an 8-second clip of like a busy marketplace. But obviously now you could go and ask Sea Dance and make it in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And again, on this perfectionism angle, but also appreciating work, 95% of people could have an AI one and a hand-drawn one and maybe not even notice the difference or even appreciate the difference. But those who love the craft will. So
Yeah.
I guess I know where you're coming from, but I always know that probably the reality of the situation going forward is there's only like 5 to 10% of the paying customers that actually really worry about that stuff or bother about
Yeah.
that stuff, I would say. I don't know if you
Yeah.
agree.
No, yeah, that's the thing too, because if you are not utilizing it, you're falling behind in a sense as well. I mean, the job I'm working at, I'm doing kind of social media work for right now. What the CEO is kind of big on it. Usually, I mean, it's always money related with these things in general. So it's kind of the CEO being like, "Hey, can we utilize AI to make our workflow easier? Can we utilize AI to make our videos look better? Other stuff like that." And so, I agree with what you're saying. Um, so for me, it's just interesting of like I don't always know when to take advantage of it or when not to, because sometimes if it's like you're directly being told by your boss, you need to utilize this, because if you don't, we're kind of falling behind. I mean, everyone's using AI now. We need to be
Yeah.
doing the same thing. So I wouldn't say that it's something that I'm like I'm very aware of it. I think there's a lot of people who are much more anti AI than I am. I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm anti AI. It's just not something I really go into intensely or don't go into intensely. It's kind of just there, and I don't necessarily utilize it as much. I mean, for work and stuff like that. Again, when you're being told that it's what you're supposed to do for your job because you're getting paid, you know,
Yeah.
you're
You
use
should
it.
do it. Yeah.
But yeah, in regards to the 5%, I agree that there is kind of that, like, there are people who are very passionate about it and will notice the details, but there are also, I mean, there are also people who simply just want to be entertained and would love to watch Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise fight on the roof. So like, there's two sides of it, and I'm not gonna necessarily say one is like, oh, you're wrong for wanting this.
Well,
Yeah.
I know there is that element of like effort can still be appreciated by the untrained eye, and I think to like the Mad Max film, there's a lot of practical effects in that, practical explosions, etc. That is your eye can notice it. There's a lot of
Yeah.
appreciation for that. You go watch a Marvel film, it's pretty much 95% green screen explosions, etc. But then the scale of that is like you have to have CGI on that. When you've got 100,000 people running into a battle and giant snakes floating in the sky, you need it, kind of thing. But it didn't take anything away from Mad Max, because you're like, wow, I'm almost in the film, because that looks like a real fireball. There is a real truck flipping over here, kind of thing. And your eye can just notice it. And that people probably could have turned around to him or her, whoever the director is, and been like, yo, you could probably just do this a lot easier by, getting some guys in Singapore or wherever to CGI this for you in a studio. But no, everyone appreciated a little bit more the effort that was gone to, the investment that was gone to do that. So I do understand that going forwards, there will also still be this, blood, sweat, and tears will still be appreciated. But I imagine just the market for it, because as AI slops a thing, there is going to be so much bloat in the world in terms of content. That's the con of the barrier to entry, is now there is just going to be more produced, and it's going to be wading through all of the slot to then find the golden nuggets. I guess that's things where like film festivals and actual proper platforms will allow the cream to float to the surface.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do I'm a proponent for AI. I mean, I do, that will also discover amazing creators. It will discover new directors. It will discover new, creators of film, because like you never grew up with the inspiration as a child to be like, oh, I'm going to be a film director. I want to do this. But then later in life, you discovered it. I never wanted to have a YouTube channel when I was a kid. Well, firstly, it didn't really exist when I was a kid, so I wanted to be David Attenborough on TV and be a TV presenter. So I'm kind of slightly living that dream in a way, and it's things like tools and AI and all these kind of shortcuts that have allowed me to do it. So it's a two-way street, and it is. And that's why I like to talk about it. And I like to talk about it in different industries just to know like how it's progressing. And what let's take a punt, maybe like at least within the next year, there's going to be some AI generated film to some notoriety, I would say, that people have watched and gone, do you know what? That was all right, kind of thing. Maybe not award winning or anything like that, but probably within a year. I imagine there's already feature length AI created films already, but they're probably crap, right?
Yeah.
But I imagine something will come soon enough. That is considered feature length, and it's all very Black Mirror-ish in terms of the way that we're going. But it's hard to predict, and like you mentioned, unfortunately, in a capitalistic society, a lot of it is about what's going to generate the most amount of profit in the shortest amount of time, and AI seems to do that. I don't know if you'd heard about it, but I found it quite interesting. I think in Ireland, they'd actually done a universal basic income for, I think they trialed it for 2,000 artists in Ireland. They said, I think they're basically giving them something like €380 a week. And they're saying, look, this is enough for you to hopefully subsist on. I don't think it is. I think it's nowhere near. But obviously they're making money back from their art as well, whether they're painters, whether they're sculptors, whether they're documentary makers, whatever. But it's interesting that this is being made now as like a trial, knowing that this behemoth of AI is coming down the road. Something like universal basic income is going to have to be something to save what they're called starving artists. It's a term that we've heard probably multiple times throughout history. And I think the last time something like this was done, from what I heard, giving a universal basic income to artists, was, I think, the Great Depression after World War II, or one of the wars. But that was because of the war. Like, we didn't, they'd gone and done jobs, or they'd gone and fought in the war. They come back. No one's really got money or a care for like art right now. Like, the world's worst things just kind of happened. But we still appreciated that art was beautiful. Art was needed. So they gave a universal basic income as like a result of such kind of disruptive times. I guess this is a disturbing and disruptive time, but it's not as like scary as war. It's like things happening, but it's peacetime, and now it's like first time in a long time or ever that they've gone, no, we're going to trial universal basic income in peacetime for artists. So I think that's interesting. Whether that trial works or not, I think I've heard that apparently for every euro put in, there's actually a better return on investment. Like, obviously they're producing art now, and that pressure's off their back. Like, they are able to pay bills, get food. And I imagine that does, not even for me, when that pressure's off, your creative mind has more energy and efficiency to have them amazing ideas when the pressure's off. And it is another one thing that's almost like it's like a snowball, isn't it? I imagine once the directors and the film producers, well, I don't know what producer does, but like all these filmmakers, whatever they're doing, once they get to that level of like, okay, I'm trusted now, I'm making money, I imagine their level of creativity expands even more, because again, the pressure off their back. It will hopefully be a net good. I mean, it will be. I think it's going to be a net good, but with a whole load of bloated slop and crap that kind of sit on the side of it in a way. So, But I imagine your thesis is, I'm going to continue down the road of practical effects or practical-ishness, having human stories, human storylines, kind of really going down that an emotional element, not just cheap shock factor and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So you've written Captive. Have you got already idea? How are you with your idea generation? Have you already got like a idea or kind of little things in a drawer of like, this is the next kind of 3 things I'd like to do?
Yeah. Yeah, I've got some ideas floating around. So again, I said I'm a drummer. That's kind of a a very big passion of mine that not many people know about, because it's not what like I'm presented
Yeah.
by. It's very much, I show myself in like filmmaking, and I tell people about filmmaking and yada yada. So I have a passion for drumming, and I would really like to ingrain that into a film that originally was going to be my senior capstone. But I kind of took a step back because I really like just like dramas. I like sad dramas, and I want to experience life a bit more and get, just be a bit wiser before I try to tackle something like that. That's just kind of a strictly drama basis film, kind of just about a struggling artist. Stuff like La La Land, Whiplash, those kind of films are really good for that, as kind of inspiration. Rent, the musical. But so that's kind of always on the back burner that I'd like to tackle at some point later in life. And then I just have, again, they're kind of just ideas that float around. I really, 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 really like horror. So I'm always kind of having concepts for different horror ideas and things like that. There's a horror comedy short film that I'd really like to make, kind of adjacent to some of Sam Raimi's early work with Evil Dead,
Mm-hmm.
other stuff like that. But those are smaller scale. I do have another project, big term project lined up. Again, kind of passion project. My brother's working on the next film in his series. And I'm going to be the DP for that one. So I'm going to be doing, all the camera and colors and lighting and stuff like that. And that takes place in the winter. So that's kind of the next one that's like solidified as I am doing this. Otherwise, yeah, for writing and directing and whatnot, I just kind of some ideas that are all floating around. But
Interesting.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
all to come, all for everyone to kind of also kind of wait in anticipation for. I've never done this, but I'm just going to fire some quick fire questions at you just to kind of, again, get some more stuff from you. And then we can kind of tail into a final takeaway from you, or if there's anything else that you would kind of want to say. So, if you could do one genre for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Probably horror. It would probably have to be horror. See, because I want to say drama, because those are probably but I just always come crawling back to horror. Anytime I want to just like turn a movie on and I have no idea what to watch, I'll just default to going in the horror section and finding something, which is ironic. But I just feel like people watch horror movies and they feel so scared, whereas like I turn one on and I'm just like I have a warm, fuzzy comfort inside. I don't know. So
That's very different to me. Favorite film? That's a hard question to ask, and I'm so sorry, but
hard question. I'll put currently. I'll cite Alien as my top film.
Yeah, good.
It's kind of always changing depending on what my current project or current movie.
It's a staple favorite film.
But Alien is a staple that kind of always will stay up there. Yeah.
Nice. Least favorite genre?
Ooh, so all the film nerds are gonna be like, "What are you talking about?" I barely watch any westerns, and so I won't say it's a least favorite, but I will say that it's one I just like don't ever even bother with.
Yeah, okay.
But there are so many westerns out there that are like world renowned, and I'm sure any filmmakers watching this are hating me right now.
Okay. Favorite director?
I really like Robert Eggers. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he just did Nosferatu, the one that just came out.
Yep.
He's done The Lighthouse, The Northman, and The Witch. And what I draw from him as inspiration, but I mean he's definitely up there for favorite director. But what I draw from him is like he does these crazy. Every single one of his films is like a period piece, and it's always set at a different time period. So he is exceptional at just transporting the audience to a completely different world every time. It's always this very distinct, stylized old world that is like kind of dark and stale, very moody. Um, I love his work. I love all of his films, and he's always worked with the same director of photography as well, Jaron Blaschke, and the two of them together have just very solidified their own visual style that I really draw from. But another top one is Yorgos Lanthimos. He did I don't know if you're familiar with Poor Things. He just did that one. That was kind of a commercial one that he did. Begonia, which is in the Oscars running this year, but he's a great filmmaker, and he's a very weird filmmaker. All his films are just kind of quirky and have just these warped lenses and other different stuff that I really like. But yeah.
If you could have a dream actor or actress,
prime Bryan Cranston from Breaking Bad.
Oh, okay.
That I Breaking Bad is one
in a horror
of his
film.
the best. Yeah, in a horror film. There we go. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
He is like, I think Breaking Bad is the best show of all time, and I think one of the biggest reasons to that is just Bryan Cranston is amazing. I mean, the writing is fantastic, but I think it'd be really fun to get him on a set and just hear his stories and just hear what he has to say, and put him in the world of a horror or something along that line, and he's pretty exceptional.
I don't even know if he's done a horror or anything horror like. Obviously,
Breaking
Bad's a thriller in a way.
Exactly. Yeah. It's interesting because I cite him as like one of the best actors and one of my favorites, but I actually haven't seen him in much movies. It's kind of just been shows and whatnot. So
he'd be a good person to bump into, definitely, and have a conversation with. Was it Even Stevens that he was in? Is that the kids show? What was the kids show that we did?
Oh, Malcolm in the Middle.
That's it. Yeah. That was a great TV program. Okay, a couple more, and then we'll move into the takeaway because I know you've got places to be today. What's a TV series or film that you've gone, that ending was a bit shit? I'll tell you mine, Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that's the big one. So my friend Alex is so mad at me. I still have not seen. I'm like 4 episodes into season 1, and I just kind of stopped there. I haven't taken on the big Game of Thrones yet. A lot of people really were dogging on Stranger Things. I'm kind of there with it. I think the ending wasn't great.
Yeah,
but
what was it? Was it that I did find it a bit weird that they've now gone to this different world and they're now fighting a giant spider monster, and the fight with Vecna was a bit and it was too much of a stark difference from being in a practical world to now just really fake other worlds CGI-ness. I think that's
I wasn't a fan of that. I wasn't a fan of the fact that like the climax of the entirety of Stranger Things, the big climax is killing Vecna. And that happened like halfway through the final episode.
Yeah.
And then there was still like an hour of just like neatly wrapping up the characters with a bow. I also would definitely wanted to see some more character deaths because we didn't see any. But that's just me being.
That's where Game of Thrones comes in strong.
Yeah.
I'm still to see the most recent one, the Night of the Seven Kingdoms. I've seen a lot of hype around that one, and that sounds right up my street. Yeah. Okay, so Stranger Things. Yeah. Also, the little thing at the end with 11. I did kind of like how it was like. Well, you said, she could have survived or she might not have survived. It's theoretical, but it might not be. We'll never know, kind of thing. I do like when they leave stuff like that. Okay, a last question.
Yeah.
If you could recreate a film that already exists in your own way or your own vision, which film would that be?
I love this question. I would do a remake of the 1950s Creature from the Black Lagoon. I don't know if you've heard of that one. That's like one of the.
I've not watched it, but yeah.
The original universal monsters, and it has not been remade much. I think they had some sequels and stuff, but it hasn't had a modern adaptation. Unfortunately, I think there's buzz around James Wan, who's like a pillar in the horror community. He's works with Blumhouse and everything else. I'm pretty sure he is set to do a remake of it.
Right.
So someone already stole it from me, so I can't do it. But man, that one, my grandma was obsessed with that one, and I think it's one where at the time people were so scared of it because like now we look back at it and we see the suit and we see the creature and we're like, oh, that's not very scary. But back then when people were seeing that, they were like kind of the Jaws effect where they're like, I don't want to go swimming because what if the creature of the blood? And I feel like there's so much opportunity to make that like
same feeling,
like nightmare horrifying, like so many avenues to take with that one.
It's kind of fucked up, Tyler. You want to scar people. You want to, you want people to go. I don't want to go anywhere near water.
Exactly. I want people to have that feeling.
It's quite an impact if that is the case. And it is like funny how films like Jaws have such a society-wide impact, and everyone knows it. And part of that is. It's weird. Some films have that lasting effect, not only just because of like the concept, but also sound design, like the dum dum. Everyone knows that. It's so synonymous with that film, and sharks. So yeah, okay, cool. I'm glad we went through that. Some quick fire questions. It's really interesting to understand again a bit more of the kind of depth and kind of inspiration about where you kind of have your creative vision from. Is there anything that I didn't touch on that you would like to either share, or have we kind of done a good job of going through some of the stuff? I don't know, is there anything more you want to say about drumming, etc.? Just anything that, whilst we've got 5-10 minutes that I might not have drawn out from this conversation?
No, I feel like we tackled kind of everything I was looking to tackle. Super excited to be moving forward with Captive. I hope I'll definitely wherever and however I get the final film to be, I'll let you know so you can take a look and watch that. But yeah, I feel like we kind of hit on everything.
Good notes. Yeah, no, appreciate it. So at the end of each episode, I'd like to see if you have like one last final takeaway for the audience. I'm also now offering like a challenge to the audience. So if you've got nothing super inspirational that comes to mind, maybe there's some way you could either challenge the audience to go do something that again falls in the vein with how you see the world and how you operate. So your choice, takeaway or a challenge.
Yeah, I'll challenge the audience.
Okay, cool.
So for anyone out there, my challenge for you would be to put together anything you're passionate about, whether it's a project, whether it's music or art or building something or whatever it would be.
Mm-hmm.
Do that on your own terms and do it without someone telling you what to do, because I think there's a lot of people who it's hard to be self-motivated in today's day and age, and I think there's a lot of people who will do stuff because they have a teacher or a parent or someone telling them to do it. And I just simply challenge anyone out there listening to go do that thing you've been wanting to do, and don't have anyone tell you to do it. Do it by your own will. And conquer it, and it'll feel great.
Yeah, it definitely will. I can attest to that same thing. So yeah, it's been amazing. It's been educational for me, Tyler, learning about this. And honestly, it is probably one of these topics where I could probably have asked you 25 more questions and gone on for another hour. But I respect your time, and you never know, there might be opportunities, whatever happens with this, to come back and speak to you again. I am wishing you all the best with Captive, and I can't wait to get the final trailer and put it in, splice it into the video for everyone to see. And yeah, look forward to hearing the outcome of your final project, and also hopefully maybe seeing it on some streaming platforms in the future. Really interesting. to talk to you today, and I'm looking forward to finding out who will be the next guest, who's the next ripple in this conversation. But yeah, just thank you for coming along today, and thank you for so much for your time, Tyler.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much, Sue. This was fun.
Right. We'll see everyone in the next episode. We'll see who Tyler brings on, and all of the information, as always, will be in the description down below. I'll link to Tyler's website. I'll link to Tyler's kind of portfolio of videos, etc. And yeah, we'll see you all in the next episode. See you soon.